Hello, everybody. How are we doing? I'm hoping very well. That'd be much appreciated. Yeah, so this stream is a little bit of an oddity. I know the video's still up. I'm taking it down in a moment. I did forget the ring light though. Well done, mate. Yeah, this stream's a little bit of a weird one. So, yesterday, I was chatting with Joe, and we were coming to a sort of agreement that, like, cool, what we're going to do is have a stream this week and then a stream once the window is closed, so we can like do some predictions now, and then later on we can find out what actually happened. I thought that'd be a nice sort of like narrative, tied up way of doing things. Yeah, what actually seemed to have happened is a little bit different. What did happen was an act of God meant that the entire country of Ireland, except Sean, apparently, it doesn't have access to the internet / things are absolutely chaotic. So, yeah. And I found this out relatively late, so I've not had time to actually prepare something. So this is going to be a very general chatty stream for an hour and a bit, maybe an hour and a half. Because at 7:30, I'm going on Not Another Leeds podcast, which I firmly recommend that everyone goes and watches, by the way. It's very, very good stuff. It is a fantastically funny place to be, and it makes me very happy. But yeah, this is just going to be a having a natter sort of stream. So any topic you can think of will be absolutely lovely, and we'll just delve into absolutely everything. It'll be a lovely time. It kind of has to be. I've had a very odd day, so I was out and about, getting some food with Kayla. That was wonderful, and I was all organisational and everything. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be like prepared for a lot more of my stuff from now on. And that means notebooks. So I've got a brand new notebook. I know it's red, but it's colour theming because this is my YouTube notebook, which is really nice. Then I got my work notebook, which is really nice. And then I'm going to sort of bounce between the two, depending on what specifically I need to be working on, which is going to be absolutely spectacular. I've also been doing a lot more sort of stuff preparing things like YouTube Shorts. So I know that they're really, really good for growing a channel. And I thought, fuck it, you might as well. So if you've not seen it yet, it'll be over on the Shorts tab on my page. And it's about that one time what I met Peter Andre, which was great. I say it was great. I mean, it was a weird event as a child. I've got to be honest with you. But if you've seen that, let me know, because I really hope you have, because it was a really fun thing to edit together. But yeah, it's just going to be a little bit of a general matter, having a look at some of the news stories of the day. Maybe a game or two. I don't know. It's gonna be like the equivalent of a talk show. Can we speak about Vanilla Ice Dan James? I mean, we can do. I mean, there's not much that needs to be said. I'd say that Dan James is at the minute one of the best wingers in the Championship. He's a firm candidate for it at the very least. And whilst a few people a few days ago were like, well, he's come off the boil a little bit. His equivalent of off the boil is wildly better than most wingers throughout the rest of the Championship. Because it's not just about his sort of attacking stuff either. It's his defensive side of things is also absolutely excellent. Because he's just everywhere and he does running for days. And the fun part is it's sort of like spreading to the rest of the squad. So you've got to consider the way that Ramazani is approaching defending at the moment. And the fact that he feels he has to be very box to box and all over the pitch. Presumably because Dan James doesn't give him a choice, because you're not going to get into the side over someone who is doing more work than you. What is my hair doing? I was meant to have a haircut today, but plans meant that the barbers weren't available. Maya's mysterious boy. That's suspicious. I wouldn't phrase it like that with a 90s pop star. That is satire. Don't come at me, Peter Andre. That was phrasing. But yeah, that was one of a few little fun story things that I've got that I'm going to be doing in YouTube Shorts format in the coming while. Where are we? Blah 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 blah. Right, what was I going to do? Was it Who Scored? Yeah, sorry, I was going to go to whoscored.com. and see who WhoScore.com thinks is like the best players in the championship. And then if Dan James isn't there, I'm going to personally walk over to their offices and say you're idiots. Player statistics. You got Boyer signs at the top because of course you do. Jimmy Dunn at QPR. I've got no idea who the hell you are, I'll be honest. Finnazars, Luke McNally, Harrison Burrows. We don't have a single player in the top 10, according to WhoScored.com, which is nuts. Let's check in. Our best player is apparently Jaden Bogle, who is the 18th best in the league, which is weird. He's surprisingly low there, right? A further fun fact for you. According to this, Jaden Anthony is better than all of our wingers. Okay, that's a take. Can you go flat, please? What are you doing? Why? Come on, behave. There we are. I did for like 5 minutes, but I'll take it. And it was when I was like 11 years old. But I think Grant will start versus Burnley. I think that'd be good. I think that wouldn't be a bad shout, but it's one of those where I wouldn't jump at that opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to whack open Canva, and I'm going to do a bit of a screen share-y thing. Pigeon, that is all. We'll take it. We'll take some pigeon. Whittaker to borrow 6 million in add-ons. I mean, I can't be too mad at that, right? I'm going to run a poll here, and it's going to be a quite simple one of, do you think we should have tried to sign Morgan Whittaker? Yes, no. I'm firmly in the no category because he's a winger that cuts in, and we've got those. We've got quite a lot of those. We're very, very good at having those. In addition to this, the horrific attitude that he had where he didn't show up. Apparently he was selected and then just didn't come to the match and arrived late. And it's like, okay, that's definitely a choice. It's not a good one, but it's a choice. I don't know. I absolutely wouldn't have signed him. Yeah, he would immediately be surplus to requirements. He would come in and we'd go, oh, you're nice and shiny new thing. Why are you here? Because out wide on the right, you've got Dan James, and Whittaker isn't better than Dan James. Out wide on the left, you've got Solomon, and he's not better than Solomon. In addition to that, he's not better than Ramazani. He's not better than Nonto. So where would he come in? There are a couple of times where he's occasionally played in the 9, but he's been not good in the 9. Oh, never mind. Let's get a whiteboard up. And elements, football pitch. Use that one. Cool. Then we'll zoom out a touch. Right. Or is that just using the wrong thing? That's probably just me using the wrong thing. Have I ever told you guys that I'm just an idiot? Like, so football shirts. Nice. I need a couple of them. So please be nice to me, graphics. Nice. Right, we'll turn you... We'll play in yellow this week, right? That's what I'm going to go with. And then I will add some text. I should have prepped this in advance, but as I've explained, this week has been a nightmare. And today has been stressful. Admittedly, not as stressful as it has been for other people, and I would never pretend it has been. But still, it's been a bit of stress. Right, pop you there, pop you there, and you over here. That'll do it. So you are 2, you are 3, you are 4, and you are 6. That's the back line. I'm going to do a screen share so you guys can actually see this. Cool. You can see that now, right? It's a little bit annoying though. So that's not helped at all, has it? Let's pop it over here. Nope, that's not better. Right, sod it. Right. Cool. There we go. There is back 4. We're also going to need 2 midfielders. What colour do we do for Burnley? Just brown, because that's the sort of vibe I get from them. They're just the blandest people on the planet. You there, and you out here. And then we need someone to play up top. That's going to be the number 10, because it's Piru. That's going to be 11. Oh, I've committed myself to numbers now. 14 is Solomon. 7 is James. Okay. What is Tanaka's number? 22? 22. And Rothwell is 8. Right, okay, cool. So, this is what I think we go with as a lineup. As usual, it's fine. And hold on, I'm going to actually shrink all of the individual ones down a bit, just so it fits the Burnley side on there as well. Oh, not that. Oh, whatever, fine. Cool, there we go. Ilya, can you get to the right size, please, buddy? Thank you, Chief. Cool. That's what I'm expecting for the starting lineup. That all makes some sense. I hope the links to Diego Luna from MLS wind up materializing. Younger creative 10 with potential who can spell Aronson, but we'd follow on accepting of subminutes. I kind of like the thinking, but I would get confused because he's got the same name as the guy who plays Cassian Andor in Star Wars. We'll give them. We've got to aim for a Clara, haven't we, realistically? Sort of there. Yeah, that looks sad enough to be Burnley, doesn't it? Right, delete that, and then I'll just start making them. They play 4 at the back, as far as I'm aware, which makes them very easy to line up. And then I believe... do they also play a 4-2-3-1? Someone's going to have to find out for me, because I don't know. Imagine if they're still doing 4-4-2, because that's just the peak of what Burnley is, isn't it? Burnley is just like the team that plays in a 4-4-2 sometimes, and you've got to deal with it. No, they play 4-2-3-1. I'll make it a flat back 4 as well, because they're not exciting enough to have wing backs. And then these 2 can be their midfielders. Cool. And then I still think I've got everyone a little bit too big, which is a problem, but it's fine. Right, match them up there, match them up there. And then I'll just take these 2, copy and paste them, and you've got your 9 and your 10. Cool. That's the Burnley squad. You might not think it is. You might not think it looks like it is in the slightest, but that's the Burnley squad. Let's take everyone and shrinky-dink them down a little bit further so they don't take up all of the pitch. Each. Okay. Let's go with that there, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your Burnley back 4. I'm going to move all the way back here because they're going to be playing defensively. We know this. That's what Burnley do. Let's take the rest of their team and let's put them into roughly the shape they're going to be in. To be fair, Tottenham is playing very well at Burnley. Yeah, but he's not been playing better than Dan James has he? What I fully expect them to do is to be absolutely horrific anti-football nut jobs in this game. I think they are going to go very wide. I think they are going to play obscenely defensive stuff, sat very deep. Your wingers are going to stay very, very shallow as well, with a 9 and 10 potentially matching up against us. How does Farker break down Burnley? I am going to get through that because I've just decided to do that impromptu-ish. I'm going to rename the stream, actually. How can Farker break down Burnley? I feel like this is going to be a pretty big chunk of this conversation. So I said those changes. Okay, that seems to have not saved. Thanks. I hope the song hasn't reached you. Oh, it has. It certainly has. It is windy as shit, and the next door neighbours have had their antenna blown off their roofs, which is really, really nice and definitely not a spooky problem that we'll have to deal with at some point. So, you've got the Burnley side that are going to be sitting in incredibly deep. And that means us having to do something about it. So we know that James is going to pin himself over to this flank. We know that we're going to have Solomon out here as a sort of foil to their wide areas, and we know that we are going to possess the ball in these sort of attacking zones. Aronson's going to fit in here somewhere. Gruev, you're not on the pitch yet. You can wait. Bogle out here. Rodon, Ampadu, thank you. And I've gone with Firpo just because I'll explain why I kind of want Firpo in this role instead in a few minutes' time. So what we're going to get is we're going to get a hell of a lot of the typical thing of, and I'm going to pull up a ball. We'll go with that one. Why is it see-through? It's completely useless to me. A ball. That's going to scream. There we go. A ball. And we know we're going to do a lot of this. Ampadu's got the ball now. Now Rodon's got the ball. And it's going to be sidey quite a lot. But that makes sense because Burnley are a side that are going to be a big challenge to deal with just in general. And I'm just going to address this from John Buck. And this is why I am going personally with the Firpo option, being number 3, over the Byram option. Because what I feel is at risk of happening is when Byram plays, he can tend to find himself more on the inside over here, which is a congested zone as is, right? Whereas Firpo will tend to prefer these sort of runs, the incredibly hard-running stuff down the outside. And we know that they're going to try and double up on Manor Solomon. But we also know that Manor Solomon likes to cut on the inside. So I think to match what Zach has said, Firpo added a lot to the attack when he came on against Norwich. But whilst, 1 second, the door has gone, I need to deal with that. Okay, so I've returned. Had a delivery. It's fine. Sounds like quite the war over there in the UK, but a cold snap across the US. I saw that, and it's a little bit on the spooky side, isn't it? Right. Hold on. I've got an idea. Gang, and it could be good, but it could be bad. If I shrink you down, there we go. That's going to take less space up. I think. Is it? I don't know. But either way, this is why I'm going to go Junior Firpo, because Solomon's going to cut inside. He's going to bring the right back with him. Whilst the winger will want to double up and make sure it's harder for Manor Solomon to do Manor Solomon things, he's not going to be able to, because if you've got Solomon on the ball and you've got Firpo running around the outside, then it becomes simple to go, oop, and then we just square it from the byline. That's what we are really, really good at when Junior Firpo is able to do his thing. Assuming we're able to get Junior Firpo in the position to do his thing, and assuming that he's ready to start. Same rough principle over on this flank, being that both James and Bogle love to get to the byline. Not at the same time. Occasionally one tucks into this sort of pocket over here to sort of make sure that there's plenty of space on the outside. But I think Bogle and Firpo are going to be a big part of us winning this game, if we are able to do that. But. Look at message a bit further up, is it that bad? Joe went to bed at 2 a.m. got woken up by neighbours to chop a tree down that's falling in the middle of the road. So chainsaw. Jesus. Okay, that's not fun. It's Monday Night Football suing you. Imagine, that'd be great. That means that they watch. No. When you said Monday Night Football, I was like, yeah, I know. The problem would be that I am playing 7-a-side this Monday and I won't be able to watch the entire match. Don't remind me. But it's fine. But that's what we'll do in the wide areas, and that's sort of understood. We will do what we always do because it works. We create a lot of chances from out there, and that has sort of led to us having some of the best wingers in the division, at least in terms of numbers and performances and all that sort of shebang. Now we need to talk about the midfield. And a specific player that was mentioned by Matt was Ilya Gruev. Issue being, when Burnley tend to do their own attacking stuff, a lot of it comes from a place of big counters, which means that you can't commit everyone forward, because if you commit everyone forward, you just leave yourself open to problems and they counter against you, and oh God, what can we do to fix this? But I just think we sort of do what we normally do, right? So imagine you're in a case where you're saying, okay, so Tanaka has played ridiculously well, so we got to take out Rothwell for Gruev. Cool. You do that. Gruev is more passive and isn't someone that progresses the ball by dribbling. Tanaka is more passive and doesn't progress the ball by dribbling. So then you're in a spot where you've got Rodon and Ampadu pull out wide to make these sort of long passing lanes with each other. Do I add a Meslier? I don't think it's worth adding a Meslier. But you got these nice little passing lanes that bounce it off Meslier to each other and look for a gap. With Gruev and Gray. Gray? Oh, that was sad. That's Gray's number. With Buendia incoming, hence we're looking at Louis Barry. Louis Barry is not a 10. Louis Barry is a left winger. That's why I'm not sure about the Louis Barry stuff. I've seen some of the discussion about it, but anyway. Darlin said, no, I refuse. We want to reflect the real world, and that isn't going to happen, let's be honest. So if you've got these, then you've got 4 players that prefer to sit deep, because you're very rarely going to see Grove doing the sort of darting runs that you get out of Rothwell. And you're very rarely going to see Tanaka do the same, which means that you're just outnumbered in their third, which is in itself a problem. He was playing centrally for Stockport. I'm convinced he was playing off the left, but I don't know. I'm really not convinced on Buendia. Unless something has happened today that says, yeah, Buendia's coming now, I would take a lot of persuading into the idea that that's possibly happening. So I think it's going to be a case of Rothwell comes in, Tanaka drops into this gap when he's needed to sort of be the conduit where we need it. And then you've still got Rothwell up high, basically playing in the sort of second 10 role and hoping that Piru is able to do his thing if he's able to get on the end of any chances. In addition to that, having this sort of floating Tanaka plus 2 centre-backs, as we normally tend to do, means that if they do get the ball, congrats. You, in a very deep-lying Burnley side, are playing against an Ampadu and a Rodon that just want to kick you. Which would be absolutely lovely. That was... Thanks, words. That's what Joe was saying earlier in his news video. I'm going to have a look deeper into that, because that was not the vibe that I got, but I am very probably wrong. Louis Barry. Let's have a look. Played 23. No, yeah, fair. That's on me, yeah. More in the 10. Yeah, that could be a shout. Not every journalist is still talking about him, though. That's the thing. What seems to be happening is you are taking a look at websites such as, there we go, News Now, and you're going, well, this one is about us potentially getting Emi Buendia. Brilliant. And you're skipping through them, and it's like, that's not a source. That's someone saying that if Leeds were to get him, that would be pretty ambitious, wouldn't it? But that's not saying that that's actually happening. If it did happen, brilliant. But I think the chances of it are ridiculously low. Just so I can make short, quick, passive passes. What? How do you pass passively down the passage? What he tends to do is during passages of play, he will pass the possession to a pernicious. Come on. There's another word. Pernicious perfectionist from Penrith, Dan James. And I know he's from Hull, but fuck you, it was alliteration. Are you signing something in? Not right now. I would predict probably. Let's have a look. I'd say the gap between Burnley and Cardiff is probably where you're looking. Like, I'd love it to be sooner than that, but currently we're on a match day Friday. Stuff doesn't tend to happen over the weekend because the clubs themselves are focusing on the football. Well, I guess it's all focusing on the football, but the clubs themselves are focusing on whatever matches are happening at that time. Still play that. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Fair enough. I'm now less upset if we end up signing Louis Barry. I'm more okay with signing Louis Barry now because we know that he can play in the 10. All that I'd seen of him in terms of highlights was him coming in off the wing, but it's good for us to know now. On this one, let's discuss this one now. Yes, as far as I'm aware, Leeds will be retaining Manor Solomon throughout this window because there was a little bit of discussion that went on between a journalist and Postecoglou, where Big Ange was asked about the players out on loan and are they likely to come back, and he basically said that Solomon's going to be staying. Like, looking at that squad for Spurs, the area where they don't really need more oomph would be the left wing, because you've already got Heung-min Son there. Timo Werner can play there. Richarlison can play there when he's not forced into the 9. So I think of all the players that are potentially going to get recalled by Spurs, he is very comfortably the least likely. So I'm absolutely certain that we keep Manor Solomon, especially when was it? Was it his Instagram story that Solomon put up saying that he loves Dan James more than he loves his wife? That doesn't scream someone that's about to be recalled by his parent club. To me, that says he is going to remain here and help us to promotion. Mid-second half, Ramazani through the middle, central threat. That's the interesting thing, though, right? So I'm going to have to bring this screen share back, aren't I? Right, someone remind me of Ramazani's number. It's 17? If I've got that right, then Ball's knowledge is absolutely paying off. Ramazani Leeds number is 17. There we go. So let's change Gruev for a minute to 17. And we will say that it's... Who are we going to take off? So we've taken off Solomon, right? And this is where it can be a little bit more interesting, because you've still got Firpo providing that wide option on the left-hand side. So if you take off Solomon and you bring on Ramazani and you say, Ramazani, you can play a little bit more centrally, you're not missing out on anything because you've still got Firpo doing this. And let's be honest, Ramazani isn't going to be like a straight number 10. He's going to sort of play in these areas anyway. He's going to play in, what's it called? Zone 14 is its name. So anything that is sort of between here and here in terms of like pitch width, and here and about here in terms of pitch height. So it's this sort of area here that he's currently in, is where I think Ramazani will do absolute bits, because it's areas that aren't quite covered by a wing back. They're also not quite covered by a centre back, and the defenders don't always want to sort of drag in that deep, which is good, I think. So I think, weirdly, in possession, our formation is going to look absolutely insane here. But if it comes to it, we could just turn to something a bit like this. or if you drop into Nakarin, then it effectively just becomes a 3-1-6, where you're trying to work out what goes on behind Joel Piru, but whatever goes on behind Joel Piru is purely done with the goal of get the chances going. The channel is another phrase for it, yeah. I was using the big old technical words. That makes sense. We need squad rotation. Do we need squad rotation though? Because like we're doing all right, and the way that we do squad rotation isn't like on a game by game basis. It'll be okay. You've been off form a little bit. You can drop out, but you will come back in if you are able to display form off the bench, kind of vibe. Like our squad rotation comes in the form of squad rotation and like managing minutes doesn't come in the form of I'm going to drop you for this match because you need a break. It's more often come in the form of okay, 70th minute, you're coming off, so give it everything that you feel you can, and then someone will come on for you. And that makes, over the length of a season, that says, okay, you know how much football you're going to be playing, you know how much, like, energy you need in the bank. You use up what you need to, and then you come off. Which is just as good to me. If you had a choice between Reter and Solomon, who do you pick for Leeds? Oh, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. That's a horrific choice. Because if you would have given me the option of Somerville or Solomon, I would have taken Solomon. I know that one's controversial, but purely based on the fact that Solomon is better at finding the right option a lot of the time. Whereas Somerville, a lot of the time, would get the ball and go, they don't know what to do with this, so he goes to the default cut inside and shoot. And it would work a lot of the time, and that was fantastic. But the rest of the time, it didn't. And all the times it didn't work, we're just adding on to the sort of, so what's happening here? So I think of the two. Between Solomon and Somerville, I pick Solomon. Between Solomon and Ruter, I think I pick Ruter. Because he put out so many chances for other people. It was very nice. And because he was fun to watch. Basically this. You knew that whenever he had the ball, a lot of the time, I didn't give a shit if we lost it. Because he was going to destroy some defenders emotionally. And isn't that what football's all about? Making the other team as miserable as feasibly possible. Right? That's what that is. That's football, yeah? Sometimes. This is a bafflingly stupid question. Obviously win the FA Cup. Joff should be given the chance. Well, should he? Really? Because looking back at the... Right, okay, so. What has Gelhardt done that tells you that he is worthy of being a first-choice pick for a side that is fighting for championship promotion automatically? Is the first question that I will ask. No. You don't get to do this. You don't get to go Piru and Joseph aren't good enough, and then also he's more strong than Aronson. But he also runs less than Aronson. He's less of a presser. So, by that logic, it just depends on what you're looking for. And I think that in terms of like sheer persistence and energy level, Aronson beats Joffy. And somehow Aronson looks basically injury-proof in this stint, which is genuinely insane for the amount of running that he does. But he's managing. And if he's able to continue to manage, then I'm not going to have a moment of complaint about it. So did Joffy, though, right? So looking at Joffy's history in the Championship, let us discuss the 22-23 season at Sunderland, where we loaned him out and said, okay, do what you can. Let's hope it's good. Played 18 games. He scored 3 times. And he got 3 assists in 18. Which isn't great. Like, even if you break it down on a 90s basis, he had 13 and a bit 90s, so he's scoring less than once every 4 games, which isn't good. Like, yeah, there's been worse, but I think there's a reason that Sunderland didn't really say, let's have a conversation about how we can make him like permanently come here. Because also, yeah, Aronson also lost the ball all the time. So let's have a look at Aronson's numbers by comparison. He's had 24 90s and he scored 7. So that's a way better return per 90. He does a lot more running off the ball. And he's just a better footballer than Gelhardt. I know that with Joe Gelhardt, we're doing that thing where he's a player that came up through our youth, came up through the Wigan youth system, but we had him as a youth player for an extended period of time, so we want him to do well here. So in that case, perform better when you're given the opportunities, because he has had opportunities. Let's hop over to Gelhardt's numbers. Last season, for example, 10 appearances, lots of them off the bench, but still a decent sort of opportunity to at least fight your way into the side, right? But he didn't. And compare that to the start of this season when you had Piru coming off the bench because Mateo Joseph was there. Mateo Joseph was the guy that was going to be starting from now on. And then Piru, in his appearances off the bench, goes, no, you know what? I'm going to claim that back. And goes nuts. You didn't get that from Joffy. And I understand it because young football are not going to be of the same level. But you're not going to be at that level until you've played football. And I don't know if we're in a position where we can offer charity minutes. Fark praised his training ethics, but surprisingly never picked him after a couple of cameos. Yeah, but those cameos weren't great, were they? Like, look at last season. Admittedly, didn't play that much in terms of minutes. Sure. But he played 10 times. No goals, no assists. Which isn't great. And sort of shows that, like, he could have done a bit more. And yeah, he scored for Hull. But, okay. Crap players can score goals sometimes. I'm not calling him crap, to be clear. But, I don't know. I just think we're in a spot where we sort of overrate him a little bit. And I think that's not really healthy for him. And I think sending him out on loan if he gets a decent number of minutes is the right move. Also, like, they played Joffy off the right flank, if I remember right. Let's have a look. Yeah. Hull have played him twice this season as a right winger. So your argument doesn't become, why isn't Joffy playing over Piru, over Joseph, over Aronson? It becomes, why isn't Joffy playing over Dan James? Does anyone want to make the argument that Joffy would be a better pick than Dan James? Because I think that's wild. And the alternative is, okay, is Joffy better than Willie Nonto? No. No. And I fully agree. I would absolutely love Joffy to be vindicated by scoring the winner against Sheffield United, and we all go, thank fuck for that. Because that slows Sheffield United down, takes the pressure off of the Burnley match. But that doesn't feel like the most likely of circumstances. And he has to prove himself when we are a side that is so reliant on results right now. Like, a bunch of people have said stuff along the lines of, I don't care about pretty, we need results. Sure. Fine. True. Understood. I get that. But you're not going to get... How do I phrase it? But you can't simultaneously advocate for starting a player that isn't of the standard. That's a bit inconsistent. And on this one, right? Killing young prodigies. Have you heard of Archie Gray? Who hadn't played a minute of senior football until Daniel Farke came in. Or Crescencio Somerville, who hadn't properly broken out until Daniel Farke came in. In fact, I'm going to have a quick look at last season and look at the age of the squad. I don't know who else you would want to get minutes, but Mr. I have done a community post on this to update you and to anyone that's just popped in the stream. The stream with Joe will now be happening on Tuesday. Not sure specifically what time yet, maybe 6-ish. And we will be discussing predictions for the rest of the window at that point, and then a little bit later we'll be doing a what we right, what we wrong, what does it mean for the season now. He's unavailable at the minute because of obvious big spooky storm reasons. I hope he's doing all right, but yeah. Okay, yeah, you are just sort of not listening at this stage, because having a look at last season, our 3 most played players were Ethan Ampadu at the age of 22, Ilan Melli at the age of 23, not old, Ritter at the age of 21, and then it's a jump up, fair enough, Joe Rodon, 25, then Somerville at 21, Archie Gray at 17. Nonto got 36 appearances at the age of 19. So I don't think your problem is that Daniel Farr, in addition to that, holy shit, Mateo Joseph also at the age of 19 got 20 appearances. I don't think that your problem is that young players never get given a chance. I think what you've done is you've heard of youth players, you've thought, I really want them to do well, I want them to get in the first team, and then when those players haven't done well and developed in the way that you think, you've been proven wrong. But you're not willing to sort of roll with it. You're not accepting that the players that you've become attached to aren't good enough, and that's in itself a problem. Because it's not only Gray. And Greenwood, not the best of examples. Let's have a look at Sam Greenwood's data, shall we? I am liking this little chat, though. It brought out the stats page. Greenwood played a reasonable bit of football at Leeds, right? In the relegation season, played 18 times. Admittedly, only started 3, but fine. The next season, started a match. Well, it didn't start. Played a match in the Championship for us, and then went away to Middlesbrough. Now, we finished in 3rd with a central midfield pairing of Glenn Kamara and who else was in midfield? Kamara Gruev. Which was great. Neither of those are worse players than Sam Greenwood, who only started 25 times for Borough, who finished 8th. So he didn't start week in, week out for a team that was worse than we were. At this point, you're just forcing players in to say, cool, go on them. Yeah, this is it. This is just how development works. That's the reason Charlie Crew's gone out on loan, because you need the players to have playing time, but you don't want to throw the entire squad under the bus, because then if you lose, then what do you do at that point? Well done, you've not gotten promoted, but on the bright side, you've given Joe Gelhardt and Sam Greenwood some minutes. Like, that's just slipping backwards. This is it. They're being given a chance, they're just not taking it. How are we doing? I'm doing okay. Looking forward to Not Another Leeds podcast in 40 minutes that we'll be redirecting to. Everyone head over there and everyone subscribe when we are over there, because I'm trying to get them to 1,000, because in quick succession we've got Matty on that number, we've got Only Leeds Bros on that number, and it would be great to have a 3rd. That'd be spectacular. Using your logic, if it counts as an opportunity being on the bench against someone, Gelhardt got lots of chances last season, because Gelhardt was consistently on the bench. Gray didn't play that match, but he sat on the bench, so is that getting the opportunity? Because in that case, Gelhardt got tons. Let's be fair to not have fought, because I don't know what number you're on at the minute. And I do not have that much oomph. I will have a look and see where you're at. Can do my best. It ain't gonna be getting there with just a me push, though. I apologize. Crew's gonna learn what happens to Chambers. If I remember right, the issue with Chambers was that he got injured. I don't know exactly how, though. It was mentioned by Daniel Farker in the press conference where he said something along the lines of outside of Bamford and who else is injured? Strauch. Outside of Bamford and Strauch, we didn't have any injuries except, and he specifically called him young Sam Chambers, which is nice because it's sort of like, oh, the youth of the future, which was lovely. And is going to point us in the right direction, I think. But again, like, an example of being given an opportunity is when DeBio and Chambers played earlier in the season. I can't remember who against. It was maybe like a Plymouth or something like that. But they got minutes, and they like Sam Chambers looked quite good, and then he got injured. But it doesn't really matter too much. I think it's fine as long as he's there and he's like doing his thing. I'm going to re-ask, since interested in my perspective, is there a different perspective on contributions if it was a summer signing and not a loan return? I think so. I think people are more content with Brendan Aronson if he was to be someone that we signed in the summer. This is an absolute joke, by the way. No. How much football have you seen him actually play? Because no. He is a 15-year-old. He is a 15-year-old that recently had a very, very serious injury. And has played, to be clear, one match in PL2 this season. He's played a single youth game. And you're like, nah, first team? Maybe? No. Let's not do that. That sounds like insanity. I don't know what you've been picking up from various folks, but I would put it down because no. Harry, I think he's 15, as far as I know. No, wait, hold on, 16. Pre-season he was 15. He's now 16 and 108 days. Oh, okay, that makes it fine then. If he's 16, then let's just subject him to who the hell are the centre backs at Burnley at the minute? I don't know, but just let him get kicked again. It's almost like right. Harry Craig not been given a debut. Fuck out. It's almost like with Archie Gray, we might have learned a bit of a lesson. So when he played in pre-season and got nearly killed by John McGinn, and it put him out for a long time, might have learned from that one. And might be in response thinking, let's not do that again. That was maybe quite bad. Might cause some problems for an extended period of time. Sorry, what was your question, Zach? I'll have a look. If it was some signing, yeah, I think what happens there is we probably view him about the same. Because a lot of people have already sort of forgiven Aronson for going. I know it was annoying, but of all the people that left last year, Aronson was one of the less annoying. So he didn't do a Christensen where he was like, I will fight for this team, and then left. Didn't do a Voba where he said, I will captain this team, and then left. Didn't do a Harrison where he badmouthed the club after he left. He just had an opportunity to play in the Champions League and took it. And I understand that. I completely get it. But I also understand that there are people that are going to see that and go, well, he left anyway, but it's all right. Missed half a season because of the McGinn tackle. Yeah, this is exactly it. Young footballers are still physically developing and will continue to be physically developing, I think, until 21, 22, something like that. So the fact that he's 16 is you don't want a developing body to get a serious injury because then they're not able to like cope with it to the same extent, which is a problem, I'd say. Players like Leeds Davis had to return to League One to wrap up Ipswich Town due to the fact that Jesse Marsh didn't see him as an emerging as a left back at Leeds United. He developed at Ipswich under a good coach. Did he go under Bielsa? I'm not sure. I think that might have been a Marsh, but I'm willing to have a Google. All right, let's close the Harry Gray stats page because there's nothing on it because he's barely played under 21s football, never mind senior football. He went to Ipswich. Went on loan in the 21-22 season, which was second Bielsa season. And then he left permanently for Ipswich in the Marsh season. So to be fair, permanently left under Marsh. Whereas Cody Drammer these days, interestingly, Hull City. Elmy, should we have played Cody Drammer anymore? You tell me. Also, that's nice. We're first place. A gross fit when I was 19. How short were you throughout like the rest of your time? Yeah, I think Drammer is at Hull. Oh, ow. Good to see Solomon stepping up for you as above championship quality. Yeah, he's far better than this silly league. Honestly, I'm quite glad that we're able to have him because it's like the case where we got Ben White, but we already knew before this season that Solomon was ridiculously good. Whereas with White, it was sort of like, well, you've had a good season in League One, doesn't mean you can have a good season in the Championship. And then he did. So I wouldn't mind it too much. That's an interesting question, right? This is a fun one. If he stays healthy, it's a complete and total coup. Yeah, I think that was the gamble. Okay, Elmy, that's nice. I'm going to run a quick poll of... Because let's be honest, Junior Firpo's leaving in the summer. Even I'm accepting that. Would you take Leif Davis back if we go up and Ipswich go down? Because I think it'd be a nice idea, but it's a risky idea. Because his defensive stuff isn't good. And I don't know how many mistakes he's made to concede goals at Ipswich this season. So I'm going to have a quick look at his defensive numbers. To be fair, only one error leading to a goal. But I wouldn't want to be in a spot where he's taking too much of a risk. I think it's an interesting conversation because we need another left back. It's just what sort of left back do we go for? Spurs didn't include an option to buy Solomon as far as I know. So, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't an option to buy Solomon in the original loan deal, but it looks like one of those situations where they wouldn't mind selling in the summer anyway. So financially, Spurs are not the most wobbly. They're probably fine in terms of FFP because Daniel Levy is Daniel Levy. But there's a conversation to be had because he's not at the level of Son. He's not at the level of their other left wingers, but would do a job for us. And the numbers that I saw banded around was maybe 10, 20 million. I can't quite remember. I think it was 20, but like split up in a weird way. But if we go up, I would not mind that in the slightest. I think that would be a very astute signing, and it means that we keep the same four wingers that we get promoted with in the Premier League. And I would personally argue that the wide areas are our strongest anyway. At least the wingers, for example. So, well, there's that and the central midfielders, but the wingers I feel would, without a doubt, do a job in the Premier League. Central midfield, you may be looking at reinforcing one or two. But if it was a case of, as Gavin said here, if it's a case of 10 million, every day of the week. Every day of the week we take that. Because that would be incredible value for a very, very good footballer. And the best bit is my entire workplace, which is based in Tel Aviv, are now Leeds fans because they're just keeping an eye on Solomon because he is the equivalent of Messi over there and what he means for Argentina. Should fake an injury at the end of the season. Oh no, that wouldn't make sense because we'd be the ones that need to do the buying. So at that point, Spurs just go, why are you trying to sign him if he says he's hurt? And we just have to just go, I don't know. You should still give him to us. I don't think we get away with that. It's a nice idea, but I get the suspicion that Spurs aren't daft enough to fall for it. Another former Leeds left back, Charlie Taylor, is leaving Southampton to go to... Isn't Charlie Taylor at Burnley? Is he at Burnley? Why did Southampton sign Charlie Taylor? I think I can work out why Southampton are going down, lads. I think I've cracked it. Wingers in midfield were good when we go up. The rest need upgrades and backups in some positions. Yeah, I think we're looking at new keeper. I'd say one new centre-back, but a genuinely very good quality one. Because I think Strauch's development in the Championship couple of years has been really good. And we'll push him forward, and I think Rodon and Ampadu around him are good enough. Right back, you're looking at someone for depth, because I don't know if we'd re-sign Byram. Left back, I guess you've got Schmidt as the depth, but you need a starting one. 10, we already need. 9, we already need. Keeper, keeper we'll need in the summer. Because I don't know if Melier sticks around. So there's a lot of questions. I don't know if they are. I've not seen anything about that. I think they, or at least in accounting terms, we will have put that all up front. And I'm 90% sure that any financial offsetting stuff we would have done with Spurs would have already been done with the Joe Rodon stuff. Oh, Archie Gray payment in 3 installations of 10 million. They paid 40 for him, unless one was up front. Why piece if we could get Solomon and Archie Gray payments? We don't have a 2. If we could simplify like that, that'd make a little bit of sense. Yeah, I think he heads off in the summer window, and that's fine by me. This is the thing: you can't lean that hard on players that are future prospects because it's not always going to work. We are exactly 50-50 on taking back Leif Davis if we get promoted, by the way, which is very interesting. I'm going to end the poll there just because I think it's fun to have that little bit of balance. A little bit of disagreement when no one can come to an actual conclusion here. Be defending more in the Premier League, so more defensive players will be brought in. That'll happen, I think. With very little doubt. Right, okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I just... Egg brain. A lot of time finance deal selling club receives payment in full up front and purchasing pays intermediary of a couple of instances. Yeah, it's something along those lines. I can't be bothered with all the football finance stuff because it gives me a headache, I'll be honest. Take him for the right price. I think it'd be a riskier one, is my one worry. Because in terms of creativity this season, he's been very good. His expected assists, he's in the top 16%. In his shot creating actions, he's in the top 11%. So he's very good at going forward. But it's defensively that I'd be a bit scared. He's very Firpo-y in terms of his attacking football. But How many games you got left in the season on the FM save? I will have a look, actually. I have learned some important news of Football Manager 2025 is very likely coming out. I saw someone say the 4th of March for a wide release, but that might also be for the beta release. But we know that FM25 is like a month and a bit away. So I don't know how far we get in the current FM save. If we don't get promoted, then I'll just call it there and we'll do more FM stuff on FM25. But I'm currently stalling to allow the game to load, which is nice. It's taken a minute, which is fun, but that's all good. I think it will show up anyway. I'd like it, but I don't know who else is getting dragged into that. I would like it to be Everton, but I feel like that's not the case. Still play FM15, but prefer the old Champman games. I lean towards the new stuff more because I quite like the systems. Can we get some elevator music? We could get some elevator music, but you're going to have to ask for a specific format. Are we talking jazzy? Are we talking like a bit blippy? What are we going with? Let's pick one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I need a number from 1 to 6, and I'll pick it for you. In the FM season, we've got 18 matches left, by the way. So I might do that. Won't have time to do that tomorrow because I got work like all day. Same for Sunday. Monday? Maybe Monday. We'll see. Joe, have you predicted Leeds total points for the season? I think I said 95-ish. We have a 5, we have a 4, we have a 4-5, Joe. Right, okay, so we will go with 4. This is the one. You guys chose this, so you're going to have to go with it. What am I drinking? Iron Brew. I've been asked many a time. For example, why I don't drink. And it's because that shit's expensive, yo. So I have just never bothered. Let's turn you down a touch. There we go. Rizzo killed Leeds still hurt me. Yeah, I mean, I get that. If, when we go, would you take Calvin on loan? I think he's been a bit too broken by this point. I think there's not much of the original Calvin left. And I think that's a bit much of a risk. Since Boxing Day, Oxford have the most points in the league with 17 they're flying. Jesus, that's a lot. Is that 7 games? What have we got over that period? Kind of curious. Can you show my age? Reminds me of Fantasy Star Online. Oh, I don't know. 48 left to play for. Is it just 48 points? Let's have a look. Championship. Standings. No, there's more than 48. There's 54. We got 11. Oh. Yeah, there's 54 to play for. After this, stream go and support Joe, not on Liz post. They are. Let's see what they're on at the minute. Let's have a hunt. Now the Leeds pod are currently on, I'll tell you in a second, 914 subscribers. So, we can't get them across the line with who's in the chat right now, but we can get them out. A decent chunk of the way there. So if you're not subscribed to them yet, go and do that, because it's going to be really, really helpful for them. We got 11. Oh, a cup run's good for any club, but could be a distraction. You don't need down the line. Yeah. That is a bit of a worry, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. I think we'll be okay. It's not going to be the biggest of concerns. Hop over to there. That's all good. How dare I will have you know I'm older than Joel Pirro. We'll take Keller Hall. I don't know about Ramsdale. The only reason I'm not sure about Ramsdale is he's very good at getting relegated. So looking at Ramsdale's history. His first season of senior football. 24th in League 2. Second season, 20th in League One, which isn't a relegation, so we'll just drop that down to 1. We'll count relegations. Third season as a senior footballer, Bournemouth, 18th in the Premier League. Then Sheffield United, 20th in the Premier League. And now he's got Southampton at 20th in the Premier League. That's restarted. So I'm going to pick another one. So I just, off the sheer power of vibes, I wouldn't particularly want Ramsdale. Just because that hasn't worked in the past for anyone that's done it. This is a bit of a banger. I like this one. Yeah, 40 from 50 feels a decent tally. Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think if anyone would be mad at us dropping 40 points from the spot, 14 points from the spot that we're in at the minute, then let's get a little bit of context. Because we're doing very, very well. Fancy 6th round at least in the cup. So that's 2 more wins. Which takes us to... You think we need to be in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup? That's nuts. I'd love it, but that's nuts. I'm more worried about international break. I think we have the most players away. We will do, but that's why we are going to do absolutely everything to be as promoted as possible before then. Yeah, if we get 40 points out of a possible 54, that puts us on 99 points for the season. That's insane. I'm not going to complain about that. Been a very chill stream with the right amount of folks for great conversation, including in discourse, been enjoyable. No problem. I wouldn't mind having more people in terms of the right amount of folks, but you know, it is what it is. It's all good. Be a nice little chatty chat. That's why I like to do these solo streams from time to time, because it means that you're able to just sort of bounce off the chat bounces off you. It's fun times, but at the same time, I quite like having people on. So, who knows? I'm sorry, I just do it so consistently. Heard Ampadu didn't have a good record of escaping relegations. Let's have a look. I think he's less bad than Ramsdale, as far as I can tell. Is he? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Relegate with Sheffield United, then relegate with Venezia. No, it's only been relegated twice. I say only. It's still not good, but it could be significantly worse. If only stayed at Arsenal longer, he might have relegated them. Yeah, maybe. I still say we finished with 93 points, 9 losses, 9 draws, and win the rest, just like the Bielsa season. That means drawing once for the rest of the season, which doesn't feel on. I think we have fewer losses than 9, but more draws. Because it's sort of, if things are a little bit spooky, risky times, then I don't know. I think we're better at shutting up shop and deciding not to lose than we were in the Bielsa era, where it was, we're drawing, let's win, and then you'd lose some matches as a result. But it's about mentality and stuff in it. You got 50 watching, about 10 joining. Yeah, it's great. I love it. That's a big number. Thank you very much, Kevin. FA Cup final, 120th minute Bamford winner, I believe it. No, because FA Cup final will be in Wembley. So, unless there's a very serious natural disaster in London in advance of the FA Cup final, we're not winning the FA Cup final because we never score at Wembley. Certainly not big numbers, but nice to feel like we are conversing. I mean, yeah, that, like, even when I've had like bigger streams, so like the jet washing one that happened at the end of the last window, there was a ton of people, but it was still nice and chatty because I was just like bouncing off the chat and seeing what's going on. Only fixed from concern about QPR away because of our London form, and we finished that song, so let's go to the next one. I like this one. This one's nice. I think late February can be a problem, but I think it's a problem that we solve. Danny, No, because no one watches them. It's very rarely worth my while. Ooh. I might be doing a gaming charity thing in March, so that's either going to be a really long FM stream or maybe a trucky stream, but I've not decided yet. We'll find out. As Gilavogi's charisma rubbed off on Strauch and... Sorry? Okay. Semi will have to win the semi-final and final on Pens. No, because Pens is just goals. No, because... We lose in the semi-final 3-0 on Pens. Burnley 2, Leeds 4. Have you watched Burnley this season? We haven't in this version of Wembley. Bunny watch. Oh god. Should we do a quick bunny watch? Gonna need to check. I would personally avoid Kick, because Kick is a scary place where people are a little bit crazy. Let's have a look. Okay, so I could do a bunny watch. It's great. If I can find it. More of a backup, that makes sense. I personally still do Twitch, like as the alternative. 1 second, I'm working on it. There we go. Bunnies! So, right here we got Nora. Then I think that's Wallace and Hutch. Hutch is all white because he's a genuine madman. But it's great. It is dark though, so... yeah, it's a little bit weird. I would do Twitch instead. Absolutely not. I think it died out, yeah. Ever had any Adidas Ultras? At the moment I'm using Puma. It's those ones that you just slide your foot into, you don't need to do the laces, which is nice. Loving Joe stuff on pickup. Same. Like it's very nice and chill, and it's a good time. We'll call that the end of Bunny Cam for the day. Just because I've not got a actual Ring subscription, so it would just keep kicking me out and in again and out and in again and out and in again. Let's not do that. Not doing good in Ligue 1 in France. He was doing okay at the start of the season. Let's have a check-in. He looks like he's just playing kind of average, to be honest with you. Not great, not awful. It's like that meme out of Chernobyl. Yeah, Twitch are a weird one. Like I like to stick with Twitch, just because it's one of those that like it plugs along in the background. I don't think so. Because looking at the matches that Cresswell played last season, he wasn't brilliant, like at all. And if he's basically saying, I need to either not be here or be here and playing, you can't really just say, no, go on then. Fine. Like the matches that he started, we beat Shrewsbury in the EFL Cup and that really bad 1-0 loss to Birmingham. And then when we lost to Salford in the second round of the Cup. And then a couple of PL2 games. Like, I don't know. I don't think he was quite good enough. No, they're downstairs and I can't be bothered moving because I'm ending the stream in a few minutes' time to head over to Not Another Leeds podcast. Of which I need to open up the... what's it called? StreamYard. Has this looped and I've not realised? That's impressive. Is that because I'm stupid? Probably. Am I going to stop being stupid? No, it's who I am. Who I am as a person. Nobody will ever remove my right to be an idiot. I will keep it forever. Yeah, I think this is a good point. Like, being overinvested in youth players and saying, why don't they start? They should be starting every week. Well, no, because Drama went to Hull and hasn't really proven himself as being better than Hull, and we are better than Hull. Cresswell has gone to Ligue 1 and been and hasn't proven himself as significantly better than So, yeah. I don't know why you're so opposed to Gilavogielmi, but it's nuts. Like, clearly he's been, at the very least, a bit of a helpful presence. And I think sort of demanding that we get rid is helping no one. I don't know. Either way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap up the stream there because I need to nip to the loo, have something to nibble on before I go over to Not the Leeds Pod. Come on, words. Before I nip over to Not Another Leeds Podcast, that's the order that those words go in. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on the stream. That's always really appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet. Even become a channel member. 99p for a month. And it's good stuff. Mags, you have timed that horribly, but you're going to be redirected to a stream that is significantly funnier than this one. It would likely be on a free, and it is Paris FC. But yeah, I'm going to call the stream there. If I can work a thing out. 1 second. There we go. Yep, like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. And I will see you over on Naup in 9 minutes' time. Everyone go over there. Everyone pop a like on it. If you don't, I'll be mad at you. See you later. Diddler.